My name is Eleanor Hayes. I'm 58 years old. I run Hayes's Bakery on Main Street. Last Sunday at my daughter's wedding, she told everyone she hated our family name. Then she gave me papers asking for $750,000. I started that bakery when I was 23 years old. Just me, an oven, and a dream of making bread that people would remember. Every loaf I baked, every cake I decorated, every cookie I shaped meant something special. It meant our family knew how to create happiness from simple things like flour and sugar. Rachel grew up in that bakery, learning to measure ingredients and mix batter before she could ride a bike. But at her wedding party, standing before 200 people, my daughter looked at me and said the Hayes name reminded her of everything plain and ordinary. The mortgage papers were already signed by her. She called it her dream home fund. I called it the moment everything changed between us. Let me tell you about Hayes's Bakery. Back in 1990, I had $800, some baking pans, and big hopes. Thomas and I rented a tiny shop downtown with an apartment upstairs. The place was old and needed lots of work. We fixed it together. Our business permit still hangs in my kitchen. May 3rd, 1990. Eleanor Hayes, baker and owner. Thomas believed in my dream when everyone said it wouldn't work. He drove a taxi at night while I baked bread at dawn. Mr. Nakamura was my very first customer. His daughter wanted a birthday cake shaped like a castle. Other bakeries said it was too hard. I made it for $45. He told all his friends about me. Friends told their families. Word spreads fast in our town when someone makes food with love and keeps prices fair. By 1996, we moved to a bigger shop with a proper storefront. By 2001, I had 4 people helping me bake. By 2011, Hayes's Bakery was the favorite place for birthdays and celebrations in our whole area. Rachel was 7 when she first helped me in the bakery. She'd come after school and watch me work. I'd see her arranging sprinkles or drawing pictures for cake designs. She loved making things beautiful. "Mama, how do you know what each cake should look like?" she asked once. "I listen to what people want," I told her. Every celebration has its own special story. She listened too. Every summer, Rachel learned more from me. How to fold dough just right. How to make frosting smooth and perfect. How to smile at customers even on hard days. Thomas would bring us lunch during busy times. The 3 of us would sit on flour sacks eating sandwiches and talking about our day. Those days were good. Those days were simple and beautiful. When Rachel turned 15, I bought her a cookbook. Nothing fancy, but filled with recipes from around the world. "This is how you create something people remember," I told her. "With care and patience and love." She used that cookbook constantly, making treats and sharing them with classmates. Rachel went to college at State University. Culinary arts degree. My girl was going to be the first Hayes to finish college. Thomas and I felt so proud. He got sick during Rachel's second year. Heart disease took him quickly. 4 months from diagnosis to funeral. The hospital bills were enormous. $72,000 even with our insurance. I sold everything we'd saved. Borrowed money using the bakery as promise. Rachel wanted to quit school and come home to help. "Your father would be so upset if you did that," I told her. "You must finish what you started." She finished. Graduated with excellent grades. Got a job at a fancy restaurant in the city. Moved to a nice apartment in a tall building. Started wearing chef coats with her name stitched on them. Started dating a woman whose mother owned 4 restaurants. Cassandra Montgomery came from old money. Her family's restaurants served expensive food to rich people and celebrities. When Rachel brought her home for dinner, she was nice, but seemed uncomfortable. She said kind things about our house and asked polite questions, but I noticed how she looked at our simple furniture, how she wiped her hands after touching our kitchen counter. Rachel started changing around that time. Fewer visits home, shorter phone calls. When I asked about her cooking, she'd give quick answers. When I mentioned the bakery, she'd talk about something else. Last Christmas, she brought Cassandra for dinner. I made Thomas's favorite roast chicken and used our good plates. "Mama, we have news to share," Rachel said after we ate. "We're getting married." I hugged them both. I was happy. My daughter found someone she loved and wanted to build a life with. But when I asked about wedding plans, something felt strange. We're keeping it small, Cassandra said quickly. Just close family members. Of course, I said. Whatever makes you both happy. Rachel looked away from me. Now I understand why. The wedding invitation came in March. Mr. and Mrs. Charles Montgomery request your presence at the marriage of their daughter Cassandra Montgomery to Rachel Montgomery. I read it 4 times. Rachel Montgomery. Not Rachel Hayes. Not Rachel Hayes Montgomery. Just Rachel Montgomery. I called her that night. It's easier this way, she said. For the paperwork. What paperwork? Mama, please don't make this complicated. But it was complicated. My daughter was marrying someone whose family couldn't write our name on an invitation. The wedding happened at Sacred Heart Church downtown. 200 guests in beautiful clothes, sitting in wooden seats older than our bakery. I sat near the back, wearing my best dress, Thomas's wedding ring on a chain around my neck. Rachel stood at the front in a white gown that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She looked so beautiful. She looked so successful. She looked like everything Thomas and I worked 32 years to give her. The ceremony was lovely. They said their promises. Music played. Flowers filled every corner. When the priest said, Mr. and Mrs. Rachel Montgomery, everyone clapped. I clapped the loudest. The party was at the country club. Cassandra's family rented the whole ballroom. Statues, free drinks, dinner served to 200 people. I drank water and watched my daughter move through the crowd, shaking hands and smiling. She fit in here in ways I never could. That should have made me happy. Instead, it made me worried. Around 8:30, Rachel tapped her glass to get everyone's attention. The room got quiet. Everyone looked at my daughter as she picked up the microphone. Thank you everyone for celebrating with us tonight, she started. Cassandra, and I feel so blessed by your love and support. People clapped politely. Before we keep celebrating, I need to be honest about something I've carried inside for years. Something that's been heavy on my heart. The room became completely silent. Rachel looked straight at me. I've always hated the name Hayes because it reminds people of simple things and regular people. When I tell people my mother owns Hayes's Bakery, I see how they think about us, the assumptions they make. My water glass stopped halfway to my mouth. Tonight isn't just about Cassandra and me starting our future together. It's about me finally being honest about the weight that name has given me. Hayes represents a past that stops me from the future I deserve. People whispered to each other. Some guests looked uncomfortable. Others nodded like they understood. Rachel kept going. My mother worked hard to build something. I respect that. But that something has limited who I can become. The Hayes name comes with ideas and judgments and limits that I won't accept anymore. She stopped and looked around the room. Which is why I've decided something important. Starting today, I'm legally changing my name to Montgomery. Cassandra and I will build our family without the weight of a small bakery holding us back. Some people clapped. It wasn't very loud. Rachel wasn't done talking. But Mama, I know this change isn't easy for you. I know you've put everything into that business and that name. That's why I'm ready to make this change easier for our family. She reached into her dress pocket and pulled out a brown envelope. I've been approved for a mortgage on a beautiful home in Cassandra's neighborhood. It's exactly the kind of place where Montgomery family traditions can grow. But I need your help with one last investment in our family's future. My chest felt tight. The mortgage is $750,000. I need you to co-sign and give me the down payment. Think of it as your wedding gift to us and your investment in leaving the Hayes name behind forever. The room was silent. Rachel walked toward my table with the envelope in her hand. This is our fresh start, Mama. Our chance to leave behind small bakeries and regular person limitations forever. You can either help me build something better or stay attached to flour dust and minimum wage thoughts. She put the mortgage papers in front of me. $750,000. It's lots of money, but it's the price of respect. The price of moving up in life. The price of making sure your grandchildren never have to explain why their grandmother baked bread for regular people. Every guest stared at me. Rachel leaned down and whispered, "Sign the papers, Mama." Help me escape the Hayes name once and for all. I looked at the mortgage papers. Rachel's signature was already there. The monthly payment, $3,900. The down payment needed, $170,000. Exactly what I had in my bank account. I looked up at my daughter. Her face looked confident and sure of herself. Behind her, Cassandra watched with her arms crossed. Behind her, 200 wedding guests waited to see what the bakery owner would do. I put down my water glass. I closed the envelope without signing anything. I stood up slowly. "Congratulations on your marriage, Rachel," I said quietly. "I hope you build something beautiful together." Then I walked toward the door. Rachel called after me. "Mama, where are you going? We need to talk about this." I kept walking. "Mama, the papers need to be filed Monday morning." I reached the door. "Mama," I turned around one last time. The whole ballroom was watching. "Your father would have been so proud tonight," I said. Then I left my daughter's wedding party and everything I thought I knew about being a mother. I couldn't sleep that night. Sitting in my kitchen at 2 o'clock in the morning, looking at those mortgage papers, I kept thinking about the $72,000. That's what Thomas's heart disease cost us. Not the sadness. That pain was forever, something I'll carry until I see him again. I'm talking about the actual money cost of watching the man you love fight for his life, while insurance companies find ways to say no. $72,000 in 16 months. Special treatments. Doctors far away that insurance wouldn't pay for. Medicine that wasn't covered. Parking at the hospital that cost as much as groceries. Hotel rooms during his treatment in the city. I emptied our retirement money, borrowed against the bakery, sold Thomas's car and tools. Some nights I'd close the bakery at 7 o'clock and drive straight to the hospital. Thomas would be sleeping, but I'd sit next to his bed anyway, holding his hand, counting numbers in my head. How many loaves of bread to pay for next week's medicine? How many birthday cakes to cover the hospital bill? How many wedding cakes to afford the treatment that might give us 5 more months? The staff at my bakery worked extra hours without complaining. Mrs. Delgado, my oldest customer, organized a fundraiser at her church. Raised $2,500 for Eleanor, she said. She always remembers our favorite cookies. Rachel wanted to leave college. "I can work full-time and help pay bills." "Absolutely not," I told her. "Your education is the one thing we won't give up." Thomas agreed. Even sick, even dying, he made me promise. "That girl finishes college," he whispered. "No matter what it costs." Her tuition was $35,000 each year. Room and food, another $18,000. Books and everything else. $140,000 total for 3 years. I paid every semester completely. When Thomas died, Rachel was 20 years old with a culinary degree and no school debt. I was 54 years old with a good business and exactly $900 in savings, the same amount I'd started with 25 years before. But I wasn't angry or sad about it. Thomas and I had agreed. We'd rather leave Rachel an education than money. Knowledge lasts longer than dollars. After the funeral, I worked 17-hour days again. Not because I wanted to grow bigger, but because grief made sense in the bakery. Mixing dough was logical. Timers either worked or they didn't. Bread rose in ways you could predict. Everything had an answer if you understood the question. Slowly, over 3 years, I built our savings back up. $170,000. Not enough to retire, but enough for emergencies. Enough to feel safe. Rachel visited less often. I understood why. The bakery reminded her of her father, of hospital bills and sleepless nights. The city was better for her. New job, new girlfriend, new possibilities. When she brought Cassandra home for Christmas, I tried to like her. She was educated and well-dressed and polite. She asked good questions about the business and said nice things about Thomas's recipes. But she used hand sanitizer after everything. After shaking my hand, after sitting on our couch, after using our bathroom. "Rachel tells me you're thinking about retiring," she said during dinner.
"Someday," I said.
"When the right time comes." "Have you thought about selling the property? This area is growing. You could probably get good money for a commercial space." Rachel gave her a warning look. The bakery isn't just business, I said. It's home. Of course, Cassandra said quickly. I just meant money-wise. You have choices. After they left, I found myself walking through the bakery at midnight. 32 years of memories everywhere. Thomas bringing lunch in paper bags. Rachel learning to crack eggs at age 10. Customers who became friends. Friends who became family. The next morning, I called Mrs. Delgado. Do you think I'm foolish for being attached to this place? Yes. Mrs. Delgado had been my customer for 19 years. Owned Delgado Cleaning Service. Understood small business problems. Margaret, let me ask you something, she said. When you bake someone's birthday cake, what are you really doing? Making them happy.
Exactly.
You're creating memories, helping families celebrate together, making special days more special. That's not just baking. That's serving your community. She stopped talking for a moment. Don't let anyone tell you that work isn't important. Don't let anyone make you feel ashamed of building something helpful. 2 months later, Rachel announced her engagement. 5 months after that, I got a wedding invitation with no mention of the Hayes name. And last Sunday night, my daughter asked me to pay $750,000 to help her escape everything Thomas and I had built. $170,000 down payment. $3,900 monthly payments for 30 years. The exact amount of my life savings. The exact monthly payment that would take my entire Social Security check. Rachel had done her math homework. Monday morning, I called in sick to my own bakery. First time in 32 years. Mrs. Delgado answered right away. Eleanor, are you okay? I need advice. Come over. Miguel is making coffee. Mrs. Delgado and Miguel had been married 38 years. Their kitchen table had seen every big decision in their lives. Where their kids should go to school, when to expand their business, health problems, retirement plans. Now it was seeing mine. Tell me about the mortgage, Mrs. Delgado said after I explained Sunday night. I spread the papers on the table. I'd need to schedule a real appraisal, but based on recent sales and the development potential, probably around $1.1 million. The number shocked me. $1.1 million. Mrs. Hayes, that corner location is valuable property now. Mixed-use development potential. Residential conversion. Close to downtown growth. You're sitting on something valuable. I hung up feeling stunned. $1.1 million. More money than I'd made in 32 years combined. I'd been thinking of the bakery as a small business that gave a steady income. Robert was talking about money that could change lives. Wednesday, I called my lawyer. Diana Reyes had handled the bakery paperwork, Thomas's will, all our business contracts. Diana, if I wanted to get the bakery property valued, how would I do that? Commercial appraisal costs about $2,800. Takes 2 weeks. Why? Just curious about my options. Eleanor, if you're thinking about selling, there's something you should know. I've had 2 different development companies ask about your property in the past year. They're all waiting for you to decide. What kind of offers? Can't say specifically without permission from my clients, but significant. Life-changing significant. Thursday, the property appraiser arrived. Professional man with papers, measuring tools, and a camera. He spent 3 hours looking at every inch, every upgrade, every piece of equipment. Excellent operation, he said. Well-maintained, great location, strong customer base. This kind of established business rarely becomes available. What do you think it's worth? I can't give you numbers until I finish my analysis, but Mrs. Hayes, you've built something valuable here. More valuable than you probably know. Friday afternoon, Diana Reyes called. Eleanor, the appraisal results came in. Are you sitting down? Just tell me. Property value, $820,000. Business value, including equipment and customer list, $280,000. Total value, $1.1 million. $1.1 million. Rachel was asking me to co-sign for $750,000 when I owned things worth $1.1 million. Diana, there's something else I need to understand. If I co-sign a mortgage for my daughter, what exactly am I risking? Everything, Eleanor. If she can't pay, the bank comes after both of you. They can take your house, the bakery, your savings, everything. But what if I wanted to sell the bakery instead? Use that money to help Rachel. Then you'd have $1.1 million in cash. Enough to buy Rachel's house completely and still have money left over. After Diana hung up, I sat in my office looking at the business permit on the wall. May 3rd, 1990. Eleanor Hayes, baker and owner. 32 years of 13-hour days, happy customers, and steady growth had created something I'd never fully understood. I wasn't just a regular person with a small business. I had built something worth over $1 million. Saturday morning, I did something I'd never done. I looked up Rachel's lifestyle. Her apartment rent, $2,600 per month. Her car payment, $720 per month. Her credit cards, I couldn't see details, but her lifestyle suggested debt. Her salary, $88,000 yearly, but after taxes, insurance, and her current bills, her extra money was probably $1,200 per month. The mortgage payment she wanted me to co-sign, $3,900 per month. The math didn't work. Even if Rachel got approved for the loan, she couldn't afford the payments without my help forever. This wasn't a one-time favor. This was a 30-year promise to pay for a lifestyle she couldn't maintain. Sunday, I called Robert Caldwell back. If I were to sell, I said, what would the process look like? For the right offer, we could close in 45 days. Eleanor, I have clients who would pay cash today. Cash offers. Multiple cash offers above asking price. No inspection requirements. I was quiet for a long moment. Mrs. Hayes, are you there? Robert, I need you to understand something. This bakery isn't just property to me. It's my life's work. Of course, I respect that completely. But hypothetically, if the right offer came, what would right look like? Based on current market and development potential, $1.3 million. Possibly more with multiple buyers. $1.3 million. Rachel wanted $750,000 from my savings when I could sell the bakery for $1.3 million in cash. I could buy her house completely, set her up for life, and still have money for my own retirement. But there was one problem. Rachel didn't want my success. She wanted to escape from it. She wasn't asking for money help. She was asking me to make myself poor to pay for her shame. Monday morning, I made 3 phone calls. First call, Stephen Park at Community Bank. Stephen, I need you to check something for me. Has Rachel Hayes applied for any loans recently? Eleanor, I can't discuss other customers' financial information. She's asked me to co-sign a mortgage. I need to understand what I'm getting into. Hold on. 5 minutes later. Eleanor, Rachel was denied for $750,000. Debt-to-income ratio too high. She'd need a co-signer with big assets. Second call. Robert Caldwell. Robert, I want official offers from all your interested clients. Eleanor, this is wonderful news. I'll have proposals to you by Friday. Third call. Rachel. Mama, I've been waiting for you to call. Did you look at the mortgage papers? I did. And we need to talk, sweetheart. In person. Great. Can you come to the city? Cassandra is excited to show you the house. Actually, Rachel, I'd like you to come home. To the bakery. Mama, I'm really busy this week. Make time. Something in my voice stopped her complaints. Okay. When? Tonight. After I close. 6:30. Should I bring the mortgage papers? Bring whatever you think we'll need to talk about. Mama, is everything okay? Everything's fine, sweetheart. We just need to have a talk about what things are really worth. Rachel arrived at 6:45 Tuesday evening. Nice car in the parking lot. Still wearing her chef coat, hair pulled back, looking professional. I was finishing a birthday cake for the Patterson family. Same family I'd been baking for 9 years. Same people who always asked about Rachel. Always said how proud I must be. Mama, Rachel called from the doorway. Almost done. Give me 3 minutes. She watched me work. Standing there in her chef coat, hands in her pockets, careful not to touch anything. When did she start being afraid of getting flour on herself? I finished the cake, cleaned my tools, washed my hands at the sink. Want some tea? Yes. We sat in the office. Same 2 chairs Thomas had built 14 years ago. Same teapot he bought to make customers feel welcome. Rachel pulled out the brown envelope. I brought the mortgage papers and some extra information about the house. Cassandra made a presentation about the neighborhood, property values, investment potential. That's thoughtful. Mama, this is a good chance for both of us. When you see the numbers, you'll understand. I poured tea into 2 cups. Rachel, before we talk about your numbers, I want to show you mine. I pulled out the appraisal report. What's this? Commercial property appraisal I got last week. Rachel opened the folder. Her face changed as she read. $1.1 million. Mama, this can't be right. Diana Reyes verified it. 2 different development companies want to buy the property. Cash offers above asking price. Rachel was quiet for a long moment. You're rich. I own something valuable. There's a difference. Mama, this changes everything. You can afford the mortgage easily. Can I? Of course. You're worth over $1 million. I leaned back in my chair. Rachel, help me understand something. Sunday night, you said the Hayes name was a burden, that it reminded people of regular things and simple work, that it limited your future. I was being honest. Were you being honest or being mean? Her face tightened. I was explaining reality. Whose reality? Mine. Cassandra's. People in our world. What world? Mama, you don't understand. In the city, in professional kitchens, when people ask what my mother does and I say bakery owner, they make assumptions. What assumptions? That we're working class? That we're limited. Limited how? Rachel put down her teacup. Mama, Cassandra's mother owns 3 restaurants. Her brother is an investment banker. Her social events include chefs, restaurant owners, business people. When they ask about my family background, you're embarrassed. I'm realistic. Hayes' Bakery doesn't sound like success to these people. But $1.1 million does. That's different. How is it different? That's wealth. That's assets. That's investment potential. I stood up and walked to the wall where my business permit hung. Rachel, this permit represents 32 years of honest work. Building something from nothing. Creating jobs for 3 families. Serving this community with care. I know, Mama. I respect that. Do you? Of course I do. Then why do you want me to co-sign a mortgage you can't afford instead of asking me to help you understand how to build something yourself? Rachel's face got red. What are you talking about? I know your salary. I know your bills. I know you were denied for $750,000 without a co-signer. How do you know that? Because I asked the right questions. Something you should have done before giving me mortgage papers. Mama, I qualified with a co-signer. That's normal for big purchases. Rachel, $3,900 per month on $88,000 yearly income is financial suicide. We'll manage.
How?
Cassandra's family will help if we need it. So you want me to co-sign a loan you can't afford, backed by things I've spent 32 years building, with a backup plan that depends on your wife's family's charity. That's not how I'd say it. How would you say it? Rachel was quiet. Sweetheart, let me ask you something else. Why didn't you call me when you were denied for the loan? Why didn't you say, Mama, I need help understanding home buying, or Mama, can you teach me about managing money for big purchases? Because I wanted to handle it myself. By tricking me at your wedding party? I wasn't tricking anyone. I was being honest about our family's limits and asking for help overcoming them. I sat back down. Rachel, what do you think this business is worth to this community? I don't know. I never really thought about it. Mrs. Patterson gets cakes from me because she can't afford fancy bakery prices. I make sure her family has birthday cakes they can celebrate with. That's nice, Mama. Mr. Foster brings his catering orders here because I understand restaurant needs. 41 families in this neighborhood trust me with their celebrations because they know I won't charge too much. Rachel shifted uncomfortably. That's the Hayes name you want to escape from. Those are the regular person limits you're ashamed of. Mama, I'm not ashamed of what you do. I'm just ready to do something different. Then do something different. Build something yourself. Don't ask me to make myself poor paying for your insecurity. Make yourself poor? Mama, you're worth over $1 million. I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. Rachel, if I co-sign your mortgage and you can't pay, I lose everything. The business, the property, my savings, my home. I won't fail to pay. How do you know? Because I'll make it work.
How?
I just will. That's not a plan, sweetheart. That's hope. Rachel stood up. Mama, are you going to help me or not? I'm helping you by saying no, by refusing to enable financial irresponsibility disguised as social climbing. So that's your answer. After everything, you won't help your only daughter. I stood up too. Rachel, I would do anything for you. Anything reasonable, anything honest, anything that helps you build a good life. But I won't destroy what your father and I built just to help you pretend it never existed. Rachel grabbed the mortgage papers. You know what, Mama? Maybe it's better this way. Maybe I don't want to owe you anything. You don't owe me anything now. I don't want your help anymore. I'll figure it out yourself. I will. I hope you do. Rachel walked toward the door, then turned back. A woman builds, sweetheart. She doesn't beg. Stop. What did you say? Your father used to say that. A woman builds something with her own hands. She doesn't beg others to pay for her insecurities. Are you calling me a beggar? I'm calling you my daughter. And I'm hoping you'll remember what that means. Rachel left without another word. I sat in the empty bakery for an hour drinking cold tea and thinking about what Thomas would say. He'd say I did the right thing. He'd also say it was going to hurt for a very long time to retry be continue. Rachel didn't call for 2 weeks. Not unusual. We'd had arguments before, but this felt different. I kept working. Baking cakes, cookies, bread. Same routine, same customers, same satisfaction from creating things that made people happy. But something had changed. Mrs. Delgado stopped by Thursday afternoon. How are you holding up? She asked. I'm fine. Miguel is worried about you. Says you look tired. I'm 58 years old. I'm supposed to look tired. What happened with Rachel? I told her everything. The mortgage demand, the appraisal results, the argument. $1.1 million, Mrs. Delgado whistled. Eleanor, you could retire tomorrow. I could. But then what? Travel. Relax. Enjoy your grandchildren when they come. What grandchildren? Rachel's not speaking to me. Mrs. Delgado was quiet for a moment. She'll come around. Maybe. Or maybe she won't. Friday morning, Cassandra called. Mrs. Hayes, this is Cassandra Montgomery. Hello, Cassandra. I'm calling because Rachel is very upset about your conversation last week. I imagine she is. She told me you refused to help with the house. That's one way to describe it. Mrs. Hayes, I think there's been a misunderstanding. What kind of misunderstanding? Rachel didn't explain the situation clearly. This isn't about her being ashamed of your work. It's about us needing a fresh start. A fresh start from what? From limitations. Financial limitations. Cassandra, Rachel makes $88,000 per year. How is that limited? In our social circle, that's entry level. What's social circle? My family's friends, business associates, the community we want to join. And you need a $750,000 house to join this community. It's not about the house. It's about belonging. Belonging to what? People who understand ambition, success, growth. I was quiet for a long moment. Cassandra, let me ask you something. What do you think Rachel's childhood was like? I don't know. Modest, I assume. Rachel graduated college without debt. Never worked during school. Never worried about tuition, books, or living expenses. Had a reliable car. Traveled every summer break. Never wanted for anything. That's nice. My husband and I paid for all of it. Every semester, every expense, every opportunity. We emptied our savings twice. Once for her education, once for his medical bills. I didn't know about the medical bills. $72,000 for heart disease treatment. Silence. I'm sorry. Rachel never told you any of this. She said you worked hard, but She didn't mention specific sacrifices. What else didn't she mention? I don't understand. Did Rachel tell you I got the bakery appraised last week? Did she tell you the property is worth over $1 million? Silence from Cassandra. No, she didn't mention that. Did she tell you I offered to help her find a house she could actually afford? She said you refused to help at all. That's not what happened. Another silence. Mrs. Hayes, are you saying Rachel lied to me? I'm saying Rachel told you part of the truth. The part that supported what she wanted you to believe. What should I believe? That your wife comes from a family that built something valuable through honest work. That she has opportunities she hasn't explored. That shame is expensive and usually unnecessary. But the house. Find a house you can afford together. Build equity slowly. Create something yourselves instead of expecting someone else to pay for your dreams. Rachel says we can't build the life we want without help. Did Rachel tell you about the savings account? What savings account? My heart sank. Rachel hadn't told her. Cassandra, Rachel's father left her a savings account. $22,000. It becomes available when she turns 24. She turned 24 last month. $22,000 plus interest, probably $27,000 now. She never mentioned any savings account. Did she mention the life insurance policy? What life insurance policy? Thomas had a $45,000 life insurance policy. Rachel is the only beneficiary. She could access that money anytime for home purchase. Complete silence. Cassandra, your wife has access to almost $72,000 in inherited money. That's enough for a down payment on a house you can actually afford. Why wouldn't she tell me about this? Because borrowed money comes with conditions. Inherited money doesn't. I need to hang up. Cassandra? Yes. Rachel is a good person who's afraid of being ordinary. But ordinary people build extraordinary things every day. They just do it slowly, honestly, without shortcuts. She hung up. Saturday morning, Rachel called. Mama, what did you tell Cassandra? The truth about the savings account and insurance money. Those are private family matters. Not from your wife, they're not. You had no right to discuss my finances with her. You had no right to lie to her about mine. I didn't lie about anything. You told her I refused to help. You didn't mention the appraisal results or my offer to help you find an affordable house. Because I don't want an affordable house. I want the house we picked out. Then buy it yourself. With what money? The $72,000 your father left you. Rachel was quiet. Rachel, that money is for emergencies. What's more emergency than housing? I mean real emergencies. Medical bills, job loss. So, you want to keep your inheritance safe while risking mine? That's not how I see it. How do you see it? I see it as family helping family. Family works both ways, sweetheart. What does that mean? It means you can't ask me to sacrifice everything while protecting yourself from any risk.
Fine.
I'll figure it out without any help from anyone. Don't expect me to visit for a while. I won't. And don't expect to be involved in our future plans. Understand? I do. Mama, I love you. But I won't pay for your shame anymore. It's not about shame. Then what's it about? Dignity, sweetheart. Dignity isn't something you buy. It's something you build. The line went dead. I sat in my empty office staring at the business permit on the wall. 32 years of building something real, and my only child wanted to trade it all for a house she couldn't afford in a neighborhood that would never accept us anyway. Thomas would know what to do. But Thomas was gone, and Rachel was choosing strangers over family. And I was learning that love sometimes means letting people make their own mistakes, even when it breaks your heart. The bakery felt different after that phone call. Not smaller exactly, but lonelier. For 32 years, every cake I decorated, every loaf I baked, every satisfied customer had been building something for Rachel. Not just a business, but a legacy. A foundation she could build on, or at least be proud of. Now I was building it for myself. Wednesday afternoon, Mrs. Patterson brought her order for next week's party. 9 years of faithful business. Same family. Rachel had baked cookies for when she was 15. How's Rachel doing? She asked. I haven't seen her around lately. She's doing well. Married now. Living in the city. Married? How wonderful. I bet you're excited about grandchildren. Someday maybe. What does her wife do? She comes from a nice family. Business people. Mrs. Patterson smiled. I'm sure they're lovely. Rachel always was such a sweet girl. You and Thomas raised her right. After she left, I sat in the office thinking about sweetness. Rachel had always been sweet. Please and thank you. Yes, Mama. Oh, Mama. Respectful to customers. Helpful around the bakery. But sweetness isn't the same as kindness. And kindness isn't the same as love. Rachel is sweet to me now. Polite. Prayerful. But when had she stopped seeing me as her mother and started seeing me as an obstacle? Thursday evening, Mrs. Delgado stopped by. Heard Rachel moved to the city permanently, she said. Small towns. Everyone knows everything. She's building her life there. What kind of life? The kind that doesn't include flour on her hands. Mrs. Delgado was quiet while I finished stacking bread trays. Eleanor, can I tell you something? Of course. My youngest daughter, Isabella, went to college too. Business degree. Got a job with a big company in the state capital. I knew Isabella. Good girl. Smart. Isabella came home for Thanksgiving 2 years ago and told me she was embarrassed to tell people her mother cleaned houses for a living. Said it didn't fit her professional image. What did you do? I asked her who she thought paid for her business degree. And she said scholarships and student loans. Mrs. Delgado shook her head. $38,000 I paid directly. Never told her about the second mortgage on our house. Never mentioned the weekend shifts I worked for 3 years. Why didn't you tell her? Because I wanted her to feel proud of her accomplishments. Not guilty about mine. How did that work out? She moved to the capital. Bought a condo I couldn't afford to visit. Married a man who thinks cleaning houses is beneath his social standards. Do you see her? Twice a year. Christmas and Easter. And only because Miguel insists. We were both quiet. But here's the thing, Eleanor. Isabella's happy. She built the life she wanted. Maybe she'll never understand what it cost me. But she doesn't need to. That wasn't the point. What was the point? Giving her choices I never had. Even if those choices don't include you? Even then. Mrs. Delgado put her hand on my shoulder. Rachel's not rejecting you personally, Eleanor. She's rejecting the limitations she connects with this kind of work. But this work isn't limiting. Look what it built. You know that. I know that. But Rachel doesn't see it that way. Because she's ashamed. Because she's afraid. Afraid of what? Of being ordinary. Of working as hard as you did for what she thinks is too little reward. Working hard built this business. Working hard paid for her education. And working hard scares her. I looked around the bakery. Every oven, every mixer, every piece of equipment. Every improvement represented hours of work, years of dedication. Mrs. Delgado, was I wrong to build this? Eleanor, you gave that girl everything she needed to succeed in life. Work ethic, education, the confidence that comes from being unconditionally loved. But she doesn't want to be connected with it. She wants to be connected with success. She just defines success differently than you do. How do I live with that? By being proud of what you built. By understanding that Rachel's path isn't a judgment of yours. Even if she never comes home? Even then. Friday afternoon, I was closing up when a young man knocked on the office door. Mrs. Hayes, I'm Daniel Foster. I live on Oak Street. What can I do for you, Daniel? My sister's getting married next month, and we need a wedding cake. Our budget is really small. I looked at his nervous face, his worn jacket. Tell me about your sister. She's amazing. Worked 2 jobs to help raise me after our parents died. This wedding means everything to her, but we can only afford about $200 for a cake. What kind of cake does she want? Something beautiful. Something that shows how special she is. Bring me a picture of what she likes. I'll make her something beautiful for $200. For $200? Are you sure? I'm sure. After he left, I realized something. This was why I built Hayes' Bakery. Not for Rachel's approval, not for social status, not for wealth or recognition. For Daniel Foster and Mrs. Patterson and every other person who needed something beautiful they could afford. Rachel could escape the Hayes name if she wanted to, but the Hayes name would continue serving this community long after she forgot where she came from. And maybe someday that would be enough. 5 months later, Rachel called. Mama, it's me. Hello, sweetheart. How are you? I'm good.
Busy.
How about you? Same as always. I waited. Mama, I need to tell you something. I'm listening. Cassandra and I bought a house. Congratulations. It's not the house we originally wanted, but we used the savings account and insurance money for the down payment. Got a regular mortgage we can actually afford. That sounds smart. It's a good house. 2 bedrooms. Nice yard. We can grow into it. I'm proud of you, Rachel. Are you really? She was quiet for a moment. Mama, I owe you an apology. You don't owe me anything. I do. What I said at the wedding about the Hayes name, that was wrong. You were being honest about how you felt. I was being cruel about where I came from. No, let me finish. I've been thinking about this for months. You built something real, something that mattered to people. And I treated it like something to be ashamed of. You were young. You had different dreams. I still have different dreams. But that doesn't mean your dreams were wrong. I felt something loosen in my chest. Cassandra and I have been talking, Rachel continued, about family, about what we want our kids to know about their grandmother.
Kids.
Not yet, but someday. And when they come, I want them to know their grandmother is Eleanor Hayes, owner of Hayes' Bakery. A woman who built something with her hands and served her community with love. I had to sit down. Mama, are you there? I'm here. Would you like to see the house sometime? I'd like that very much. Maybe this weekend? Cassandra's cooking dinner. She doesn't have to cook for me.
She wants to, Mama.
She's been asking about family recipes, about Dad's roast chicken. My throat felt tight. I could bring the recipe. That would be perfect. After we hung up, I walked through the bakery one more time. Same ovens, same workbenches, same business permit on the wall. But everything felt different. Hayes' Bakery wasn't going anywhere. The name wasn't changing. The work would continue. And maybe someday Rachel would bring her children here. Show them where their grandmother worked. Explain what honest work could build. Or maybe not. Either way, the work itself was enough. 2 weeks later, I visited Rachel and Cassandra's new house. Modest by their original standards. Perfect for a young couple building their future together. Cassandra served Thomas's roast chicken made from the handwritten recipe I'd brought. It wasn't quite the same. Nobody could duplicate Thomas's touch. But it was made with love and respect for tradition. Mama, Rachel said after dinner, I have something to show you. She led me to a small room they'd set up as an office. On the wall, framed next to Cassandra's diploma and Rachel's culinary certificates, was a photograph of Hayes' Bakery taken on our 25th anniversary. I want to remember where I came from, she said. The good parts and the hard parts. But especially the parts that taught me what real work looks like. I stared at that photograph for a long time. You know what I learned, Mama? What's that? Dignity isn't about what other people think of your work. It's about doing work that matters. And does your work matter? I think so. I help create food that brings people joy. Nothing as important as baking birthday cakes for families who need them, but it serves a purpose. That's good, sweetheart. That's enough. 5 months after that visit, Rachel called with news. Mama, Cassandra is pregnant. Congratulations. How is she feeling? Excited. Nervous. And me? Terrified. I laughed. That's normal. Mama, we've been talking about names already. If it's a girl, we want to name her Eleanor Rose Hayes Montgomery. I had to sit down again. Mama, that's a beautiful name, sweetheart. We thought so too. After we hung up, I walked out to the bakery and stood beside Thomas's old workbench. 2 generations of Hayes had used these tools. Now there might be a third. Not to carry on the family business necessarily, but to carry on the family values. Work honestly. Serve others. Build something that lasts. And remember that your name, whatever name you choose, is only as good as the character you bring to it.